The Milwaukee Brewers will not, I repeat, will not win the NL Central for a fourth straight season, right? Right? It's time for the National League Central season preview.
Baseball is back. The Locked On Podcast Network presents the MLB season preview. All the biggest storylines and breakout stars for all 30 teams. Will the champs repeat, or will another team shock the league? From the experts at the Locked On Podcast Network, it's your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by MLB The Show 26. Visit MLBThe.show/LockedOn and use code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. And welcome into the NL Central season preview. My name is JD Hafron, host of the 12-time Central Division champion and 11-time world champion Locked On Cardinals podcast. Likely the only time I will get to brag about anything on this episode. So I apologize for nothing to any of you. We are joined in order of the standings from last year because it's only right. First, we've got Chuck from the reigning division champion Locked On Brewers podcast, Sam from Locked On Cubs, Jeff from Locked On Reds, and Gary from Locked On Pirates. The NL Central 2026 season preview being brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Today, we're going to get through a lot. We're going to be deciding which team could make a splash, who's going to be trash, the offseason move that changes a team's trajectory, and we're going to start with the ending. That's right. Who wins the division? That's what we want to know. So we jump over to FanDuel. We go and we look at what the favorites are in this one, and this is how FanDuel's got it rolled out. Cubs are favored to win the division. Then it goes to Milwaukee, followed by the Reds, then the Pirates, and then the Cardinals. Now, Chuck, we're going to start with you since you guys have won this thing the last few years. Is this disrespect to your three-time defending champion Brewers, or do you think someone else is actually going to win this division in 2026?
It was disrespect how we started off this podcast. You saying somebody else is going to win the division. JD, I thought we were buddies. Jeez.
We're still cool, man. I'm going to be in last place. Don't worry about what I say.
No, you know what? The Brewers are never picked to win the division. They're not, and I get that. And because they keep losing an all-star or a star player every year, whether it's Adames or Corbin Burns or Devin Williams. And this past year, Freddie Peralta, their ace. So they keep losing, but this young team keeps growing with its young players and losing players and filling in the holes. So, yeah, they might have lost, but, again, three-time division champs, Murphy, manager of the year 2 years in a row. Not saying he's going to win it 3 years in a row, but I got to pick the Brewers to win the NL Central, guys.
Okay.
I feel like
they've got the Cubs. FanDuel's got the Cubs winning this one, right or wrong? Or are you still into Milwaukee taking this thing until somebody beats them?
Well, I feel like this is like the third straight year we've all been doing this, and I say the same thing. You know, the Cubs, they made a big splash. They got a guy like Bregman. On paper they should win the division, but I think last year was the first year where I really started to shift. And the Cubs won 92 baseball games last year. I think all of us would have said that would have been good enough to win the division. Sometimes you got to tip your cap, and I think in boxing we always use the term pound for pound. In baseball, I like to use it dollar for dollar. Right? Brewers dollar for dollar are as good of any organization in the sport, and for them to win 97 games last year and have 80 billion win streaks and everything they did, I think it is a little disrespect the margin the Cubs are favored by, but at the same time, I'm still picking the Cubs because I think they have to win the division this year with the team that they've assembled.
Now, three of our teams in this division made the playoffs last year. Jeff, your Reds, they were there too. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, do you feel like you guys are getting disrespected by not being mentioned at the top with the Cubs and the Brewers?
I don't think it's disrespect. I think it's an overreaction to the Hunter Green injury, which we still don't know the full extent of. It's not been said that he's out for the rest of the season yet, albeit there's definitely concern for that because when you talk about elbow stiffness in pitchers, that usually doesn't follow with he's pitching tomorrow. But when it comes to the NL Central, the Brewers are innocent until proven guilty, right? Like I think you can win in December, but that doesn't mean you're going to win in September because the Brewers haven't won December or January or November or anything like that for the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. And they're still at the top of this division because they're just able to churn through talent through their minor leagues. They've got a great farm system, a great organizational setup. And then whatever happened, whenever the Cardinals just said, hey, Mike Schilt wasn't good enough, they relinquished their devil magic to Milwaukee. And now Milwaukee's got it. And there's just something that everyone else here in the division, I don't know if we got to get together and like light some candles or something, get rid of this thing. But as it stands right now, it seems like whatever happens in the offseason, there's still that cloud hanging over. Well, Milwaukee knows how to win with guys like us on the field, as opposed to, $50-60 million guys.
Gary, what do you think? Pirates made some pretty cool moves this offseason, and people are excited in Pittsburgh about what you guys have to offer. But are they a team that's going to be up there near the top of the division, or do you think it's still Milwaukee's to lose?
I'll have to say Milwaukee until they prove me otherwise. They just seem to push the right buttons. And I mean, they have enough of a returning cast this time that I don't think they're going to sneak up the way they have the last couple of years. It looks better on paper because we know some of these guys now. Peralta's a huge loss, but I still have to put them there. The Cubs, Sam's right. On paper, yeah, they really should. But I felt that way a couple times now. And the Pirates earned their place in these things. I mean, to see everything they did this offseason and have the betting odds think they're going to win 2 more games than last year is kind of silly to me. But, I'm not going to predict the division. I don't think I deserve that yet.
No, you deserve it. You're in the division, man. You got to pick it. So you're going to go with Milwaukee?
Yep.
All right, Milwaukee it is. I find all of your answers incredibly boring. You guys all picked Milwaukee, so
I did not.
He picked the Cubs.
I picked my team.
Oh, you did say the Cubs. I thought you said it was Milwaukee's until it was over.
No,
All
I
right.
said I gotta respect what they're doing, but I gotta take the Cubs.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm actually rolling with the Cubs. I'm impressed. Not so much by the Bregman move, but it's the refurbishing of the bullpen. I really like the moves that the Cubs made there. Cabrera obviously could be huge if he's the guy that they thought he was going to be in Miami at some point. And Cade Horton's awesome. I'm very impressed with a lot of the little things that they did other than the Bregman move. So I'll go with the Cubs this year. I apologize to you Cardinals fans that are listening because you can't believe I just said that. All right, FanDuel over under win totals. Let's get into this. Cubs 88.5, Brewers at 84.5, Reds 80.5, Pirates 78.5, which is something you alluded to, Gary, and then the Cardinals at 69.5. All right, very nice. Let's start with your Cubs there, Sammy. 88.5. Good or bad? 88.5.
I think it's the right number. I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but to me, the 84.5 of the Brewers, which was 83.5, was the number that stood out to me. That's 14 less wins than last year. Cubs 88.5 sounds right. I feel a little bit like what Gary said about the Pirates, where it's like, I get it. We lost Tucker, but we added Bregman. The goal is for that to be like a like for like offensively. You add a guy like Edward Cabrera, like you said, and then you're going to win 4 less games. I hope that's not the case. But I think it's the right number. And I think they'll be right around high 80s, low 90s.
Looking at the numbers here, I think the Reds 80.5 might be the most shocking number. I don't think anybody is shocked by the Cardinals being where they are. Gary, you mentioned the 78.5. You think the Pirates are going to be better, but 80.5 for the Reds? Jeff, what do you think of that?
They're smashing the over. I'm smashing the over. They were at 82.5 before Hunter Green talked about foreign bodies in his elbow and the fact that his UCL is fine. But I believe that they will smash the over on this. I got them at 83, 84, and they've got the chance to really close their eyes and go really hard and maybe even win a few more if they get lucky in some areas. But I honestly think when you look at the over-unders on all of these teams, I've got over on everybody but the Cubs. I think the Cubs win 88 games. I think that you go over on the Brewers. I think you go over on the Reds, over on the Pirates, and over on the Cardinals. This division is going to be a lot of fun this year. Because I think that the top 4 teams are going to be like within 5 games of each other.
Jeff still has not sent me my postcard for the Cubs going into Cincinnati at the end of the year and completely mailing it in,
laying down,
and getting a 4-game sweep and getting those Redlegs into the postseason. And now he's taking the under on the Cubs.
I don't like,
Pirates at 78.5. Gary, you mentioned that you feel that's pretty low.
I didn't expect it to be better than 500. Listen, I think that's kind of, but I think they've earned a 500 as where you would start. I think that's what this team is on paper. I think they can outperform that. But the lineup's solid. They've got maybe two spots that you might think are a little weak, but other than that, just about everybody can hit home runs. I can't say that last year. It's just a completely different team. It has improved offensively dramatically. Might have taken a little bit of a
O'Neal Cruz
hit defensively,
but yeah.
But
O'Neal Cruz has
over
been
that,
amazing
for
in the
sure.
spring so far. And then obviously Connor Griffin, somebody that I wonder if that will move the needle a little bit as far as the win total goes, if they decide to have him on the team early on. Brewers 84.5. Are we really going from 97 to 84 because of Freddie Peralta? Chuck, makes sense of it.
It's like this every year. The Brewers have a low win total, and I feel like even like 7 of the last 8 years since they've made the postseason in 7 of those 8, they always go over this projected total. Usually, like by mid-September, you're sitting back and you're looking at the ticket and say, "Man, what they were 80.5 a couple like last year." Well over. There's no doubt about it. When they were 6.5 behind the Cubs at one point last year, in June. The Brewers were plus 1,600 to win the NL Central, rallied to get the job done there on a massive underdog right there. So I think over. And in fact, I think everybody in the division, I think is going to go over the totals. And I could see 3 teams again from this division. You know, the Brewers won 97 games last year, but finished only 5 games ahead of the Cubs. The Brewers at one point won 40 of 50. And you would have guessed it seemed like they won every game last year. Still, they were only 5 games ahead of the Cubs. So this is going to be a great run. This is going to be a great division. I mean, I think there's never I've always said that. I think there's never a night off in this division.
That's a good segue into our next thing here, which is what do we think playoff team-wise in this division? Do we think 3 get in? What do we think playoff team-wise in this division? Do we think 3 get in once again this year? What do you think, Jeff?
I think 2 get in. I just think that the wild card, it missed the Atlanta Braves last year. I can't imagine that the Mets are going to do what they did last year again. Like if they do, I think that Steve Cohen's got to sell and they got to move. But when it comes to the Braves, that's the one team that I think that was out of the equation last year that will be in the middle of it. They could knock the Phillies down to be a wild card team and the Braves could win that division. And then you're talking about the Phillies, Braves, most likely the Cubs, Brewers, Reds, whoever's not up ahead of that one, and the Pirates. And then you've also got what's the Giants, what's the Diamondbacks, what's the Padres. I have a hard time saying that all 3 NL Central teams that made the playoffs last year will do this, or that the Pirates will jump in there. So I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to say 2 NL Central teams make the playoffs this year.
All right. Gary, what do you think? 2, 3, 1? What do you think?
I'm going to go with 2, and I think it's going to be depth related. I think Milwaukee and the Pirates are probably deeper than the other teams, honestly, including the Cubs. I think they have some kids, but kids they won't want to dip into. And if their pitching isn't good, if Cabrera isn't good, or Tyon hits the wall, or whatever, they don't have an awful lot coming behind that. I think the Pirates got waves coming. I think Milwaukee has waves coming. Reds did. They just took a big dent. But I think 3 teams. I really do. This is going to be one of the strongest divisions in baseball, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sam, what do you think? 2 or 3?
Yeah, I probably more agree with Jeff. There's just so much talent in the National League. I'd probably say 2. I just, you got to remember the Braves and Mets didn't make it last year. I feel like one of those teams is going to make it. I never count out AJ Preller and the Padres from being relevant. They're always there. I mean, that was that Cubs Padres series. That was a real dogfight last year. Obviously, the Dodgers are a lock. So I'd probably say 2. I mean, I like the upside of the Pirates. I think they're going to be good. I think, we'll probably talk about some players here soon. So I'll save my O'Neal Cruz thing for that. But yeah, I'll say 2.
All right, all right. I got 2 as well. Yeah, I think things are a little bit tighter in the East and in the West, and I don't know which 2 are going to make it. I think I would, if I had to pick now, which is what we're doing, we're previewing. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Chicago and the Reds just because of the pitching staff. We don't know about Hunter Green, obviously, but I just think their pitching staffs are pretty darn good. And for now, until Milwaukee proves me wrong,
you hate the Brewers. What's the deal? What's the deal? You hate the Brewers.
Got it in for you,
I have a lot of respect for him, but eventually it's got to dry up, right? It's got to dry up.
Well,
right.
You know what?
Well, coming up, we've got the offseason moves that change the team's trajectory for 2026. This is the NL Central Division MLB season preview. Today, I'm thrilled to be talking about our sponsor, MLB The Show 26. The greatest game in baseball, it is back with its newest installment. I haven't been able to put down my controller since I got it. I love Diamond Dynasty. It's my favorite because you can build your own super squad. You can use legendary players. You can use current players or go full theme team using only members of a certain organization. I'm also a big fan of the franchise mode where you get to be the owner, the GM. You get to handle the scouting. You get to be the manager. You get to play the games using today's active players, and you just try to mold your organization in to a world champion. So if you're a gamer, a baseball fan, or you just want to enjoy America's favorite pastime in a new and exciting way, you're going to love MLB The Show 26. Play as your favorite team and franchise players. See if you have what it takes to win your own World Series. Visit MLBThe.show/lockedon and use code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Internet connection required. Available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. MLB opening day is almost here, and you can feel it. Fresh starts, big expectations, and that first crack of the bat, and there's nothing like being in the ballpark for it. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. Who needs it? That's why there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation, and it's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's simple to use. You get the Game Time guarantee, which means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. And the best part, fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. You've got panoramic views from your exact seat. Zone deals let you pick the section and save even more. You can also follow your favorite team and get alerts when new deals drop. 2 taps and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats in minutes. That's what makes it so easy to decide last minute to hit a game. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. We're going to talk about the best players in the division now. We've talked about how much talent is here in this division. We know there's a load of it, both offensively and pitching-wise. But if you had to select who you thought was the best player overall in the division, one ring to rule them all, who would it be? Let's start with Gary from Pittsburgh, who's got a lot of talent over there. What are you thinking, Gary? Who's the best player?
Paul Skenes. Period.
I think it's a pretty easy one.
I don't think that I could even play games with anybody else.
Yeah, right. Agree.
Yeah, Paul Skenes. In fact, is it true that he's got that pull where he didn't want McCutcheon on the team? Is that what I hear?
That's what I'm hearing, man.
Wow.
And I don't think it was about like him, the person, as much as I think you can improve more than that.
I heard it was
they did
get rid of the old and bring in the new. That they were McCutcheon was part of the past.
It was a polite way of saying basically let's look forward.
Yeah, I got to go with Skenes.
I think pitching wise, it's Skenes. I think position wise, it's Elly. I think Elly finished the year in a way that a lot of folks would say, okay, he's not the best position player in this division, but that's because he had one leg. He had a quad injury for August and September. He was on pace at the end of July to finish the season with 28 bombs, 106 RBIs, and 47 steals. I still think that he's got 50 steal, 30 homer potential this season. I wouldn't be shocked if he went 30-60. And I think that he's added the kind of muscle mass and the way that he looks this spring training that I can buy into him doing whatever and not surprising me when it comes to taking that step forward. I think it's Elly to the Cruz outside of Paul Skenes.
Yeah, and I respect Paul Skenes. I'm always that guy, though, that thinks about the guy who's playing the most games. And I know, Skenes is going to get his 30-plus starts this year, barring any sort of weird injury, which we're not hoping for by any means. But Elly is out there 155 games possibly this year.
That's what we want. We don't want 162. He did the 162. I don't want to do that again. Don't want to do that again.
If Tito decides to let him rest this year, the sky's the limit there. And I also love what I saw from PCA last year. I don't know how many times I was hitting up Sam going, there he is, man. I kind of told you he was kind of a sexy pick this year.
You did
do some things. And I just enjoy the combination of speed and power, which both those guys have, and the enthusiasm for the game that Elly's got as well. So I'm going to go with an everyday player. So I'm picking Elly on this one, despite the defense being as subpar as it's been so far at the shortstop position. All right, let's talk offseason moves, boys. Biggest offseason move in the division, not necessarily just for your team, but in the division. Chuck, we'll start with you. What do you got?
Well, I got two, I think, and it was done by the Cubs and the Reds, but I'm going to go with Bregman going to Chicago. I think that was a big move. I know they spent some money on him, and I think filling that third base spot with Bregman, I thought they might do that a few years ago, go that direction. But I was kind of hoping he wasn't going to go to the Cubs, just like I was kind of hoping Suárez was not going to the Reds. I think those were two great offseason pickups for both of those teams.
Sam, what do you think? Is it Bregman, or is there something else you got up your sleeve?
No, I think it's Bregman. I mean, I think there's a few. I mean, there's a lot of things that the Pirates did that just made me go, okay, they're taking it a little bit more seriously. But I think in terms of like the impact of winning the division, it's probably has to be Bregman. And in terms of impacting the Cubs, having Eugenio Suárez back in the division is not something I was very happy to see.
I think we can all agree with that one. Jeff, you love the Gino move. It was good to have him back, I'm sure.
Very happy to see him. Very surprised that it happened because I was expecting them. Honestly, they signed Nathaniel Lowe on a minor league deal with spring training. I thought that was going to be their move. That they were going to be like, yeah, we got him. We'll put him in the middle lineup. We'll be fine. Because that's what this team has done for the better part of my lifetime and tried to sell us on that being the impactful move. And I think for me, that's why I picked Gino over Bregman. If you compare them in a vacuum, Bregman is the better player. But Bregman replaces Tucker. Gino replaces Gavin Lux.
Right.
And Gavin Lux was a negative WAR player last year. Like the Reds basically took a vacuum and filled it with somebody that can actually make a difference. And for me, that's the one move. I think the biggest argument here is the one move enough to outweigh the myriad of moves that Pittsburgh made? Because I think Pittsburgh had the best quantity offseason, whereas you had great quality with Bregman and Cabrera in Chicago and Gino and the bullpen renaissance that the Reds decided to undergo this offseason as well. But I think that when you compare Gino and Bregman, I give the edge to Gino simply because of what the alternative was.
And then Gary, you've got, obviously the big trade with Tampa Bay for your Pirates, which was obviously a huge thing for what you guys going on. But was it bigger than what we're talking about here when it comes to Gino and Bregman?
I think so, but first I got to say how ridiculous it is to put Gino in that conversation. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love it, baby.
I personally texted you how much I did not want the Pirates to get him. I feared it. I just thought
we need one thing.
Terrible move, right?
Power.
So, whatever.
Great price.
Whatever.
I was surprised it was so cheap, though.
In reality, I probably think it's Bregman, but I will say Ben Cherington's move. One player sending out Mike Burrows, who I think is going to be a fantastic pitcher, but he's probably a fourth or fifth this year. He can grow, but that's where he is. And they got Mason Montgomery, Brandon Lau, and Jake Mangum. And all three of them are going to be big contributors this year. Jake Mangum's going to be the new guy that everyone in this division hates the way I hated Colton Wong for years.
Oh, I was not expecting to hear that name today. Oof. I gotta go.
What was the odds on FanDuel for a Colton Wong mention in a 2026 NL Central preview show?
It depends on if they knew I was on a podcast, because he's my example for player I can't stand.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Jake Mangum. I was so upset that you guys were able to get him. I thought that was going to be some cheap move that maybe my Cardinals could maybe pull out, but did not happen. But he was excellent in Tampa Bay last year. And like you said, he's going to be a guy that's just going to be a nuisance this year. And I think people are going to hate him. Pittsburgh's going to love him. I do like it. Here's the only thing that I'll say over Geno as the number one move is just because he's been there, done that before with the Reds before, and he's a huge boost to that clubhouse as well. I don't know Alex Bregman. I don't know how well he's goes along with people inside the other clubhouses he's been on. Haven't heard that he's any problem, but I do know that the Reds absolutely love a Eugenio Suárez. So I think that's going to be a monster boost for them coming up in 2026. How about worst offseason?
Well, look, before you do that, let me ask you this: where do you rate the Cardinals actually picking a direction? Because it feels like they finally picked a direction, right?
We're thrilled with it. I'll speak for the entire fan base. We are thrilled with it. We know that this is not going to be a whole lot of fun as far as win totals, but we're excited that they finally picked a direction, and they were hoping this would happen last year. And nobody would get traded. They wouldn't leave. Sonny Gray wouldn't leave. Arenado wouldn't leave. And they had to waste an entire year of rebuilding and retooling to get to where they are this year. So I'm excited for the youth that they've gotten. I liked all the moves that they made as far as the amount of talent they were able to get in return. Obviously, the Arenado guy, nobody's even heard of him. That just was a salary dump. But on the other ones, they were really good. They were able to reboost and rebuild that farm system, which, was kind of back half of Major League Baseball the last few years. And now they're sitting up in the top 5 in a lot of people's rankings. So job well done. Chaim Bloom. All right. Worst offseason moves this year. As far as the Cardinals go, I don't know if you can count any of them as bad moves. They were just going in a direction and getting rid of salary and trying to go young again. So you can make fun of them all you want. But are there any other moves in the division besides the Cardinals just giving up on 2026 already that stand out to you guys?
Well, I think the big loss on paper would be Freddie Peralta, but I just think the Brewers are. I think the Brewers are disqualified from making any bad moves. I mean, they do this every year, and every year they win. So
didn't understand their trade with Boston either with the third baseman.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Caleb Durbin.
Durbin, right.
Durbin, it looks to be was a favorite of Murphy. Pat Murphy, the manager, was stunned that they traded Durbin. Stunned because he fits the mold of what Murphy wants. Hard nose, put your face in the dirt, and an improving player. Was up for Rookie of the Year last year in the top 4. And the Brewers obviously saw something in him where, hey, you know what? This is as good as this guy's going to get. Let's deal him while the stock is high. We'll trade to Boston. They got Harrison, who's really going to be solid in their rotation. So, but if he goes on to Durbin to be, like a 5-time All-Star, that's going to turn out just horrible trade. But it could, if he just plateaued this year, then it would turn out to be a great trade. We'll see how those.
Now, one thing I text with you, Chuck, was when the Peralta trade was made, and I was like, "Ooh, you guys got Jet Williams. That's not bad." And you're like, "Do we got a bunch of these little infielders?" No. And then the next trade went, and then it didn't seem so bad, did it?
Well, like their top prospects, their farm system, their top 4 guys are all like 5'7" middle infielders. One guy is 6'1", and that's Madej. But even on this team, they corner the market on guys who are 5'7", 5'6", 5'8", and all that. I don't know what it is, but that's who fits into their organization. Hard-nosed guys who are going to go out there and do whatever it takes to win. That's who, guys who overachievers. Bryce Turang, who's a first-round draft pick, he's one of those guys. He's 5'9" or so, 5'8", listed at 6'0". He's not 6'0", but he's going to go out there and give it their all. They like those hard-working overachiever type guys.
I feel like I need some salt to throw on my shoulder just calling out the Brewers. So I got a fire sauce packet from Taco Bell. We're gonna do that and try and get rid of the bad juju. You call out the Brewers, it feels like you're just opening yourself up for some craziness here. But it's like on paper, that was the one thing. Whenever it said Caleb Durbin to Boston, I'm like, why? What kind of a move was that? That was a weird one, but it feels like the Brewers are going to be that team that in 3 years, none of the guys that are currently on the field for them are going to be on the field for them, and yet they're still going to be one of the teams that are favored to win this division. They just seem to understand how to turn over talent the way that the Tampa Bay Rays do.
I mean, I hear it every day when the Brewers put up their lineup, and the fans will be on Twitter just going crazy. Well, here we are. We're not going for the sweep once again. Durbin batting cleanup. This guy not in the lineup. The Brewers are missing 5 starters, and here at the end of the day, they win 7-1. So it's just amazing how, like you said, the magic that they have, their carpet ride is just unbelievable. Every year I think, okay, is it going to run out this year? But it seems that it does seem to run out in October, but not during the regular season.
Very true. All right. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about which team could make a splash or be trash. And also, is anybody manager-wise on the hot seat in the division? This is the NL Central 2026 MLB season preview. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. They've got the right skills, the experience, the right location, so that you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Less stress, less time, more results when you need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds. And I've reached the point in my life where my wife and I are looking toward the future. We've got the house, we've got the career, we even have an awesome dog, but now we need to secure that future. That's where Ethos comes in for us. When I look at this insurance or that insurance and I try to pick one, I might as well be reading an entirely different language. Ethos clears up the noise and gets me set up with exactly what I need, because Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, and it's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/lockedonmlb. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get a free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb, ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times and rates may vary.
All right, once again, we're doing our 2026 NL Central season preview. We've got all 5 members of the Locked On MLB Central podcast with us. Do we fear any of our teams in this division? Because we're expected most of you guys are going to be good this year. Is there any fear that something drastic happens and you fall from where FanDuel's got you guys as far as win totals go?
No, I don't have that fear here. I think we have duplication of efforts all around the diamond and in the starting rotation. Our AAA team looks like they should win the international division. They really should. They should win AAA. It's going to be a bomb unit. Probably 3 or 4 guys that could probably start on major league teams right now will start in that AAA team in the rotation. And I just think, truthfully, it's going to be a war of attrition, and the Pirates are poised to do it. And they have enough tradable assets still that they can add if they want to.
Jeff, the Hunter Green injury is something that's obviously on the minds of all Reds fans. And are you afraid that more injuries to somebody like a Lodolo, who's suffered with some problems as well, is that going to tank you guys? If Elly plays on one leg again, are you guys in big trouble?
was gonna say, I think that they're uniquely positioned to weather more storms in the rotation, albeit not a ton of storms. But I think they're 7 or 8 deep in the rotation. The question will be, how does the top end of the bullpen really follow up last year? Tony Santillan was 1 game away from literally pitching every other day. And I'm pretty sure there were a couple of games that he actually warmed up in the bullpen that he didn't pitch in. And so he pretty much pitched every other day last year. How does that arm hold up this year? There's a little bit of mechanical tweaks that are being reported out of spring training for him that could help him out in the long run. And obviously the moves that they made, bringing in Pierce Johnson, Caleb Ferguson, Brock Burke, those guys are going to help him out to where he doesn't have to pitch every other day. But the top end of the bullpen, it kind of feels like could fall apart. And then you've really got to see some guys step up that we're worried about, guys like Zach Maxwell, Luis May, Connor Phillips, that have high-end stuff and very questionable control. We all know what happens when you have questionable control out of the bullpen. So the bullpen's fragility worries me. And then the lineup itself just needs to realize who they are and not try to do too much. If they continue to do too much, if Noelvi Marte tries to hit 50 bombs, if Matt McLean tries to hit 50 bombs, then we're going to have trouble. But it looks like early on they're not doing that. So if they can translate that, I think it's going to happen. I think they're probably the team that has the widest range of outcomes. I could see the Reds winning the division, and I could see them finishing 4th. I don't know that I could say that about any of the other teams outside of the Cardinals, although their variation is they're either 5th or they're 5th. So that's not really much of a variation.
No, it's not. Sam, you guys played without Steele last year, and everybody thought, they're in trouble, and you guys were able to weather that storm. Any fear that something drastic could happen that would send you guys down a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I could see us, if it really were to go poorly, be in like the mid 80s, but I don't see anything worse than that. To me, the way I would look at this division, honestly, if I had to oversimplify it, if it was like one of those exercises, like in 5 sentences, summarize the Central, it'd be Cubs, Brewers at the top, and for Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, assuming health, right? Obviously, you can't have anything happen to Skenes. Sure. Can O'Neill Cruz become a major league actual, like, everyday stud? I mean, the body language stuff is just, I had him on my fantasy team last year. It was a nightmare. And then can Elly figure out how to consistently hit from the right side? I mean, if O'Neill Cruz takes a couple steps up with all the talent they have, and Elly is the same guy on both sides of the plate, now you could be talking about a 4-team actual race. But I think the Cubs and Brewers, I don't see either team being like less than 84, 85 wins. That's my take.
Last year, Chuck, Quinn Priester came out of nowhere, former Pirates farmhand, but kind of came out of nowhere with this amazing streak of winning games and whatnot. Was able to plug a hole where Brandon Woodruff was out. Mm-hmm. Where are you guys at starting rotation-wise this year? And is that something that's kind of the Achilles heel now that you moved on from Peralta that could drop you down from where we saw you in the 90 wins to 84 where FanDuel's got you?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win 97. But I still think they're going to get over 84. But this rotation is going to be one of the youngest rotations in baseball, other than Woodruff, who's coming back, didn't finish the season last year because of a lat injury, and he's had a history of shoulder injuries, but he's going to be at the top of the rotation. He may not be the opening day starter because of that. He's still going through. Priester's got a wrist injury. He might not be in the opening day rotation. So other than that, there's young guys. We saw what Mizorowski can do. Sproat they got in a trade. They really love him. Harrison could be the lefty in that starting rotation. If the rotation doesn't hold its own. Now, the Brewers in the past have been rock solid, and I think that's something that small markets usually, sometimes you don't see that. The small market pitching, it takes money to buy some of these pitchers, and the Brewers leave their great pitchers go, and they try developing, and it's been working. Can they keep it going pitching-wise? And can the Freliks, the Tarangs, and the Churios keep getting better every year? Another X factor, Yelich is 34 years old. In the twilight of his career, can he continue to produce? At 29 home runs, 103 RBIs last year, can he continue to produce in the heart of the order? Those things hold up. Yeah, they can win the division, but like I said at the top, the margin of error for these guys every day is very small. You got to go out there and they got to play with a high baseball IQ, which they really have.
All right. Wrapping things up here with bold predictions. I don't know how everybody's turned out last year. I had Wilson Contreras leading all first basemen in the division, hitting wise. That didn't happen. That didn't work out so well. He wasn't terrible, but he didn't come anywhere close to doing all of the things like Bush did. Pretty darn good. Bold prediction. I'll start with mine and we'll go around the horn here. I'm going to go with JJ Weatherholt winning the NL Rookie of the Year award because I don't know if Connor Griffin's going to be up early enough to take it from him, but he definitely could because that man is impressive. But I'll go with JJ Weatherholt's been a prospect that has only been in the minors for one full season, and he was incredible last year. He's just got this very veteran makeup about him. He doesn't act like a rookie. He doesn't go about his business like a rookie. And I don't think the Cardinals have really had any expectations for a rookie like this since the late Oscar Taveras. So he could really be something special. So I'll go with JJ Weatherholt. If it's not him, I'll say Dustin May makes over 25 starts. That's pretty freaking bold.
Oh, bold. I'm going to go bold too, and it's Rookie of the Year oriented as well. I'm going to say Connor Griffin and Bubba Chandler both finish in the top 3 for Rookie of the Year. And I think Weatherholt would be that third.
My bold is, you guys kind of touched on it, O'Neal Cruz. I saw him in the batting cage last year, and the ball was making a violent noise off his bat. I mean, he was putting rockets into the upper deck during batting practice. The game showed up, and the show was over. And I'm like, God, this guy's, as you know, Gary, and we all have seen him, he's a physical specimen. How has this guy not been able to put it together? I think if he does, he could be just amazing. But, man, watching him take BP last year, and then, like I said, the show started, and it was lights out. But he could be – I'm going to make that prediction right now. I think O'Neal could take it to the next level.
All right.
I think he could too. And since Sam mentioned him too, I'm just going to tell you both. The kid literally hired himself a left-handed pitcher to live with him all off season.
I saw that on Twitter.
Quick O'Neal Cruz anecdote from me. I was at a Cubs Pirates game 2 years ago with my mom, and O'Neal Cruz it should have been a long home run, but the wind was howling in at Wrigley. What new? And he hit the ball as she was walking back to her seat, and the sound was so violent, she like ducked and dropped everything, all the stuff that she had. That's how loud it was. I'm not joking. Sorry, real quick, my bold prediction. This is kind of like maybe like a little Cubs nerdy, but last year Carson Kelly had like a really big year for the Cubs for most of the year. I think Miguel Amaya actually takes the catcher spot and runs with it by, I would say, June, July-ish.
Elly De La Cruz, top 3 MVP finish. I think that between the one leg being hurt and his inconsistencies with his glove, he cleans that up, and he has 2 legs at the end of the season. I think he's going to be top 3 in the MVP. I have a hard time saying he's going to beat out Shohei Ohtani. I don't know who does. I don't know that anyone can, but I think that he finishes in the top 3.
That's a mic drop right there.
So those are our bold predictions. And if you guys have any that you would like to add, make sure you hit us up in the comments section down below. Give us your thoughts on everything we've discussed here about the NL Central. Do you agree or disagree with some of the takes that we had here today? Let us know. For all the division previews for the 2026 MLB season preview, make sure you guys subscribe to Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts for more on Locked On Reds, Locked On Pirates, Locked On Cubs, Locked On Brewers, and Locked On Cardinals. Make sure you subscribe to all of our different shows and follow us online, on social medias, on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We're all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day.
Baseball is back. The Locked On Podcast Network presents the MLB season preview. All the biggest storylines and breakout stars for all 30 teams. Will the champs repeat, or will another team shock the league? From the experts at the Locked On Podcast Network, it's your team every day.